Hi, this is Ale Hinojosa from Choose Positive, and today I am very happy to welcome Hay House author and lucid dreaming teacher, Charlie Morley. Charlie, it is so good to have you here.
Hey, thank you for having me. It's great to be here with you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and read your bio. A Buddhist, a former hip hop artist, and a self taught lucid dreamer. Charlie taught himself how to lucid dream when he was a teenager. He recognized its healing powers at age 17 after having an almost fatal drug overdose that left him with terrible nightmares for months. He is one of the most experienced lucid dreaming teachers in Europe and one of the first Westerners to be officially authorized to teach lucid dreaming within the Karma Kagyu lineage of Tibetan Buddhism. His teachings combine the ancient power of Tibetan dream yoga with Western lucid dreaming practices to create a powerful healing tool that everyone can use and benefit from. Charlie, welcome to Choose Positive.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Okay, it's great to have you here. So the intention for this interview is to give an introduction to what is lucid dreaming and how we can use it to improve our lives, to live better lives. So first of all, I would like to ask you, what is lucid dreaming?
Okay. So lucid dreaming is the art of learning to become fully conscious within your dreams. So this means you are in a dream and part of the mind reactivates and goes, oh, wow, I'm dreaming. So most of the time we don't know we're dreaming. So this is why if you're having a dream that you're the Queen of Egypt, it's only when you wake up in the morning you say, oh, what a crazy dream. I'm not really the Queen of Egypt, right?
Right.
But if you were lucid, then what would happen is in the dream you're the Queen of Egypt and then you think, hang on, this is weird. I'm not the Queen of Egypt. I'm dreaming. This is when you become lucid. So this is what I call the aha moment, where you're sound asleep and part of the mind goes, aha, I'm dreaming.
That's awesome.
That's a lucid dream.
That is awesome. And I'm just curious, where is it that our dreams exist? I mean, is it a different consciousness or where do they exist?
Very interesting. I mean, you can see neural correlates in the brain to dreaming. So if you go to sleep and we put you into a brain scanner, I can say when you're dreaming because a very specific part of the brain lights up and a very specific part of the brain becomes deactivated. The back part of the brain around the brain stem and the occipital lobe becomes very active. That's like the projector. And the front part of the brain where your sense of self, the prefrontal cortex resides, becomes very deactivated. Now, just because we can see correlations in the brain when we dream doesn't mean that dream comes from the brain. You know, we're actually asking, if you're saying where do dreams come from, you're saying where is consciousness, where is the mind? And to limit that to being in the body is, I think, limiting ourselves. It's like saying that music comes from a radio. You know, the radio produces music, but we don't think that there's a little band inside the radio playing the music. So perhaps the same is with our dreams. I don't think dreams are inside the brain, but I think that mind is much bigger than the body too.
Yeah, me too. Great.
Big question.
And thanks, Charlie. And so I know that this is a very powerful tool, right? So what are the benefits, and what are from the various benefits that it has? What are your favorites?
Okay, so once you're lucid in your dream, you are conscious within the unconscious mind. Right. So that's quite a rare state of mind to be in. And for a lot of people, one of the few times that they will be conscious within their unconscious is when they're in a state of hypnosis. And in fact, lucid dreaming could be likened to a similar experience of what you would have if you entered a hypnotherapy or a hypnosis session, whereas the hypnotist would take a strand of your conscious mind and bring it down into the unconscious mind and then plant a suggestion of healing intent. Perhaps, you know, I am confident, I am lovable, something like this. Now, in a lucid dream, you're doing the same thing. You're taking a strand of your conscious mind and you're bringing it down to the deepest depths of the unconscious, simply because you can't get more unconscious than asleep. So if you can become conscious within your dreams, you're accessing the very deepest level of the unconscious.
That's awesome.
But to put it simply, anything you can treat through hypnosis, you can also treat through lucid dreaming. So at a very basic level, we can work with phobias, we can work with negative thought programs, we can work on exploring the mind, we can work with post-traumatic stress. We can also work with just having fun. If you want to explore your mind, to enjoy it, to see what your mind has to offer. And then when you get into the Buddhist view, then things get very deep very quickly. And we move beyond the mere potentials of healing and into the potentials of exploring the very nature of reality itself and even training for the moment of our death.
Wow, that is amazing. So very, very powerful tool there.
Yeah.
Very cool, and a very cool one, I must say.
Yeah, I mean, the kind of stuff you can do is amazing.
It is. It has a lot of potential, and it's very, very powerful. That's what I love about it. So, Charlie, how is it that you learned to lucid dream?
When I was about 11, I was interested in lucid dreaming. I knew that I was having them because when I was a kid, I used to wet the bed, and I used to be in my dream, and I'd think, oh, I really need to wake up and pee. And then I think, oh, but I can't be bothered to wake up. I'll just stay in the dream and have a pee in the dream. So I would then pee in the dream and wet the bed. So I remember having these lucid dreams when I was very young. Then when I'm about 11 or 12, I start hearing this term, lucid dreaming. And I thought, oh, I can do that. You know, I've done this before. So I became a little bit interested then. But then it was really when I was 15, 16 that I got into lucid dreaming properly. Because I think like a lot of young men at that age, you get interested in kind of the mind and philosophy and psychedelics and this kind of stuff. So I got interested in lucid dreaming, and I thought it was just really cool. You know, I could train my mind to become aware while it was dreaming, and then I could like control the dream. I could choose what to do. I could fly around. I could meet movie stars. I could have sex with sexy girls, you know. Yeah, it's cool, but it was just fun, you know. I thought it was just like a virtual reality simulation. But then luckily, a few years later, I got into Buddhism. And within Buddhism, lucid dreaming used as a spiritual meditation practice. And I thought, what? There's nothing spiritual about lucid dreaming. It's just about flying around and having sex and just for fun. Yeah. But then when I learned all the Buddhist views, they said, okay, firstly, you don't control the dream. You make friends with the dream. And I thought, wow, that completely changed the perception. And then they said, rather than just run around having fun in the lucid dream, use it to meditate within the dream. Use it to explore your mind. Use it to work with your phobias. Use it to heal your body, heal your mind. And I thought, wow, you know, it's like I'd been messing around with this thing for years. But then luckily after a couple of years, I realized its full potential.
Yeah, and then that's very, very, very interesting, Charlie. And then when did you decide to become a lucid dreaming teacher? Because then you were having it for yourself. It was helping with your life. And then when did you decide to take that extra step?
Well, I never really decided to do it. I mean, I was making my living throughout my 20s in the dance scene. I was a musician. I ran a dance company called Throwdown, which was like break dancers and graffiti artists and stuff like that. So that was my career. I was always really into Buddhism, and I was into meditation and lucid dreaming and stuff, but that was, you know, my spiritual path. That was nothing to do with my career path. But then about 6 years ago, my meditation teacher asked me to give a talk about lucid dreaming. He said, oh, you know, you're an actor, you're a musician, you're good on stage, give a talk. So I thought, okay, I'll give a talk. And I gave this talk, and I thought it was just a one-off. And then at the end of the talk, he said, who thinks Charlie should run a 6-week workshop course starting next Tuesday? And I thought, oh, God, I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing. But he kind of pushed me in the deep end. So then I gave this course. And then he said the course went well and I should do another one. And then it all just snowballed. But it was a very gradual process. You know, I never set myself up as some sort of lucid dreaming teacher. It just eventually got so popular. Then I realized I didn't have any time for the music anymore. So then I stopped the company a couple of years ago. And then I signed with Hay House. And then everything went crazy. And then crazy in a good way. And then this last year has just been a kind of a constant tour. So it's funny how life works out.
Right. It is. That's how, when everything flows, no? You know, you're on your path. That's great, Charlie. And I must say, you really are a great teacher. I really like the way you explain things. You make it sound, I mean, these are very complex concepts, and you explain it in a very simple way. So I do think you're a natural born teacher. So yeah, great.
Oh, thank you.
You tell the story, Charlie, about the time you were at a Buddhist retreat, and one of the participants asked the teacher, "How did you sleep?" And he said something like, "Very well. I had how was it? Full of nightmares.
A night full of nightmares.
A night full of nightmares." Right. What can you please explain to us? What did he mean by this?
Okay, so that teacher was actually the same guy who asked me to teach in the first place. He's a guy
Oh.
called Rob Nairn, wonderful mindfulness meditation and Buddhist teacher. The view within Buddhism is that the mind's display is never good or bad. There's no judgment on the mind's display. So when we have a nightmare in the West, we often say, oh, that's bad. That means my mind is broken, it's disturbed, there's something wrong with me. Whereas in Buddhism, in the mindfulness meditation point of view, we say that a nightmare is a dream that's shouting. It's just a very loud dream. It's saying, hey, look at this, deal with this. So when you have a nightmare, it's a very good sign, actually. It's saying there's the possibility for healing. It doesn't mean you're broken. It means there's a part of the mind that wants your attention, and the mind is communicating with you.
That's
From
so
something as
interesting.
obvious as, you're scared of spiders, so you have a nightmare about spiders. It's not that the mind's trying to torture you. It's that the mind's saying, hey, look at all this energy that you're losing in your fear of spiders. So I'm trying to draw your attention to it so that you can work through this phobia in the waking state and in the dream state. So nightmares are very good. And in fact, that same teacher in another interview says that he was very disappointed when he stopped having nightmares, because he said, oh, I used to love them. They're a great indicator. Oh, yeah, look, there's a neuroses I didn't know I had. There's a fear that I thought I was over. They're great indicators. So you learn to love nightmares.
Oh, that's a great way to look at it. Great. And can we banish our nightmares, or is it even something that we want to do? Like you said, this teacher, was disappointed to stop having nightmares. So, should we banish them, or can we?
It's interesting. Yeah, it's not about trying to banish the nightmares. I mean, through lucid dreaming, we can learn to become conscious in the nightmare. Now, once you become conscious in a nightmare, fully lucid in a nightmare, it's like you've gone from being in a horror movie to watching a horror movie. Now, a horror movie can still be scary to watch, but at least you're not in any danger. But when you're in a nightmare, because you think it's real, you believe you are really in danger. You think you're really being chased by a monster. So if we become lucid, we get to step back and we get to view the mind as it is. And we say, oh, look, this is a very interesting display of mind. This monster might be a symbolic representation of the person who caused me trauma when I was a child. Or this monster might be a symbolic representation of the war that I've just got back from in Iraq. I've been working with some guys who've got post-traumatic stress who are in the British Army in Iraq, and they've been using lucid dreaming to work through their post-traumatic stress nightmares that they've had since coming back from Iraq. So once you become lucid, you can step back and see the nightmare for what it is, a display of mind. Then you have the choice to integrate the nightmare, to go into the nightmare. And very often when that happens, yes, the nightmares will stop.
Very interesting. This reminds me of a story you told at your TED Talk about how you embraced in a nightmare, how you embraced your demon. No? And can you please tell us that story and maybe explain for everyone watching what's the relationship between lucid dreaming and our shadow?
So the shadow is a concept that was pioneered, or at least popularized, by Carl Jung. And he used this term shadow to describe all the aspects of our unconscious mind that we have denied, disowned, or rejected. So it's the dark side of our minds. But it's not a negative side. It's simply the side of ourselves which we're unwilling to accept. Now, nightmares are made up primarily of shadow material. So nightmares are usually made up of aspects of the shadow mind, aspects of ourselves that we don't want to look at, our phobias, our past traumas, our neuroses. So very often when we're in a nightmare, we're dealing with shadow material. Now, Carl Jung also said that the only way to full individuation, which was full completeness of the self, full self-realization, was through the shadow. It wasn't that there were two options. Some people can take angels and light and others go for the shadow. It's the angels and light are fine. But at some point, you have to go through the shadow. You have to acknowledge that darkness. So in a lucid dream, you're in a very unique position, because in a lucid dream, psychological concepts like the shadow, like the inner child, like the wise man, like the divine feminine, become personified. So you can actually meet your inner child. You can actually have a conversation with your shadow. And that's unique to lucid dreaming, that you can actually touch these concepts. So one of the things you can do once you're lucid is call out to meet your shadow. Now, if you call out to meet your shadow in a lucid dream, you'll better be ready for what's going to happen. It's totally safe. but know that you have just asked your mind to present you with everything that you are scared of, everything you don't want to see. So this isn't a beginner, experience, but it's totally safe, and it's a great thing to do. Often something will appear. Sometimes it will look like an archetypal demon. Sometimes it will look like a cloud of black smoke. Sometimes it will be based on the cultural ramifications of somebody's upbringing. So, you're in Mexico City right now. I don't know about your upbringing, but I know, working with Sergio Magaña, the Mexican dream teacher, that his shadow is likely to be made up of the archetypal residue of his culture. So they may be in the form of the archetypes within the Toltec tradition, or within even the Mexican Catholic tradition, because of his upbringing. So the actual way the shadow will present itself is completely personal. But once you meet your shadow, you can then do another great thing, which is to embrace it. Now, if you were doing shadow work through art therapy, through hypnosis, through active imagination, then this would be a symbolic embrace. But the cool thing about lucid dream is you can literally embrace your shadow. So you can actually walk up to the symbolic representation of your shadow and hug it. Now, if you do that in a lucid dream, there is no bigger symbol of acceptance than the hug. So if you can hug your shadow in a lucid dream, you can do very, very deep healing work. And in fact, one Jungian therapist who was on a course, I said, if you embrace your shadow in a lucid dream, this might take 6 months of therapy in the waking state. And he put up his hand and he challenged me. And I thought, oh no, I've said something stupid. Why did I say 6 months?
Yeah.
I thought he was going to say, how dare I say this? And he said, Charlie, you're wrong. And I said, okay, I'm sorry. He said it'd be more like 6 years.
Wow.
He said you could do 6 years worth of work in one lucid dream. So who knows? I mean,
right.
There's always a place for one-on-one therapy. It's so important. But also it's important to know that in a lucid dream, you can engage one-on-one therapy between your conscious and your unconscious mind. So that's very impressive as well.
It is so impressive, such a powerful tool. And Charlie, so people watching, I imagine, are wondering now, so this amazing tool, how can I access it? How can I try to lucid dream? And I know there are several methods that we can do this, but only for so that people watching have something to start with. Could you share or explain maybe 1 or 2 methods that we can start applying?
Yeah. So the first thing people need to do if they want to engage any sort of dream work, especially lucid dreaming, is to start remembering their dreams. Because unless you have regular dream recall, you're going to struggle with the rest of the techniques. So the first thing we do, if I'm doing one of my lucid dreaming retreats, the first night we just work on reconnecting with your dreams. A lot of people say, you could never teach me lucid dreaming. I don't remember my dreams. And I say, when did you last try? And they give me this look like, oh, I didn't think you needed to try. And I say, of course. And they say, okay, so tonight I'm going to try to remember my dreams. How do I do that? And I say, well, before you go to bed, I want you to set a strong intention that tonight I remember my dreams. I have excellent dream recall. Not I will, not I want to, but present tense affirmative, just like a hypnotic suggestion. And if you fall asleep with that really strong intention that tonight you remember your dreams, 9 times out of 10, the next day you'll have some dream recall. And I've worked with people who've had full dream blackout, who've argued to me that they don't dream, that they've got something wrong with their brains, and they're the only person in the world who doesn't dream, because of course everybody dreams. You dream 4 or 5 times a night. Everybody. The only difference is not everybody remembers it. But the people who do remember it, sometimes they're naturals, but most of the time it's because they try. It's because they really enjoy their dream. So if you enjoy your dreams and you see them as something valuable, your brain is naturally going to find it easier to remember them. But because most of us don't care about our dreams, of course the brain won't remember it. We're sending it signals that we don't care. So tonight, go to sleep, care about your dreams, set the intent to remember them, and very many people listening to this will remember their dreams tonight if they fall asleep with that. Then the next method is, once you start remembering your dreams, you start spotting patterns. Because after maybe 2 weeks of writing down your dreams, remembering them and then writing them down, you might say, oh look, I always dream of my dead grandma. Or look, I always dream I'm on the planet Mars. Or look, I always dream that I'm back at school. And then you can start spotting these patterns and you say, okay, well look, Charlie, next time you're back at school, you know that you're dreaming. Or next time you see your dead grandma, you know that you're dreaming. And you set these triggers, these lucidity triggers. And they work in the same way as you might say, next time I see a cash point, an ATM, I've got to remember to get out some money. and then you see the ATM and something goes ping, and you remember you need to get some money. It's the same thing. We're saying next time I see my dead grandma, or next time I see something I dream about, I will know that I'm dreaming. And this leads to our, that's the most kind of basic lucid dream practice we have.
That's amazing. That is amazing. And so then so for example, we are in a dream, and then we realize we're in a dream. So what next? Well, what should we do next?
Okay. Yeah. So for most people, their first few lucid dreams go something like this. They dream, and then something weird happens. Hang on, a pig flying through the sky. I'm dreaming. And then they wake up because it's so exciting.
Yeah,
they wake up in their bed. Boom, 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 boom. And they, oh, how do I get back? How do I get back? So one of the ways that we can stay in the dream is to choose what we want to do in the dream before we have it. Because a lot of people, they get lucid and they say, what now? What now? Maybe I fly about, maybe I meet a movie star. They haven't really thought about the potential. So what I suggest people do is even before they've had their first lucid dream is think, if I get lucid tonight, what do I want to do? And some of the things you can do are healing your body, working with psychological trauma, exploring the mind, asking a big question. In my book, I talk about when I asked the dream, what should I do with my life? And then these dream characters appeared, 4 or 5 of them. And they said, you should be a lucid dreaming teacher. You should stop doing throwdown. It was crazy. You're getting these answers from your mind. So you can ask big questions. You can heal your mind. You can send healing energy to others. This is a very important one too, to send prayers or energy to another when you're in the dream. Or do your spiritual practice in the dream. Do your meditation once you're dreaming.
And can you also ask to connect with deceased persons, like for example, your grandmother who has died? Or
yeah, so I've got a chapter about this in my second book, which comes out in March 2015, in which I talk about what I call the 1%. I'm a firm believer that 99% of everything in the dream is your mind. But there is a crucial 1%, which is made up of something outside of your mind. Now, with certain practices, you can increase that 1% to a much larger percentage, but you have to invite it. Now, there seems to be the possibility to meet with dead relatives in the dream. Whether you're meeting with a projection, just a memory of your dead grandma, or whether it's actually your dead grandmother, only you will know. I mean, the dead grandma one is a good example because I've had, maybe 10 dreams about my dead grandma, and 9 of them, I know they were just projections. They were lovely dreams, and I enjoyed them, and it was so lovely to see her again, but I knew it was just my memory. It was because I missed her. But on one occasion, one of those 10 dreams, it was really her. And I know it beyond any doubt. I didn't need to ask my teacher. I didn't need to ask anybody's opinion. I knew. It was like, it was as if she'd been superimposed over the dream. Right now, imagine if a cartoon character walked into the room, how different the energy of a cartoon character looks to this screen now. Do you know what I mean? It was like it was superimposed. She looked so different to everything else in the dream. And the dream characters reacted to her. They were like, whoa, what the hell is this energy in our space?
Oh, wow,
so there were so many indications. Yeah, and also she came with something to say to me, which the other dreams didn't have before. So, yeah, only you will know whether you're dealing with a projection or whether it's actually them. I mean, in Sergio's tradition, Sergio Magana, another dream teacher I've worked with a lot this year, he has something with the eyes. If your dead relative has red eyes in the lucid dream, then it's really them. If their eyes are normal, then it's just a projection. So we need to start looking at the eyes within his tradition. So if you see red eyes, then maybe it's actually a dead person.
That is so amazing. I can't say it enough. This is such a powerful tool, and I thank you so much for sharing it with us and sharing it with the people watching, Charlie, because I think that this is something that it's free. You don't have to pay for it. You can do it yourself. It's so empowering.
Yeah.
No, so you only need to be willing to do it. Have the curiosity or the willingness to do it and go for it. No, on your website they can find a lot of information on how to do this. Your book, your workshops. No, so actually, for more information on Charlie and lucid dreaming, you can visit charliemorley.com. And there you'll find where you're going to be speaking, where you're going to be giving workshops and everything for those that are interested.
And lots of stuff on YouTube as well. You know, I've got like dozens of videos on YouTube. So put my name into YouTube and you'll find lots of instructional videos too.
Yeah, I did. And there are some very good ones. So yeah, I do recommend that a lot too. Well, Charlie, thank you so much for being here with us. We surely found this very, 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 very interesting to listen, and we're looking forward to learn more about it. So thank you so much for being here, Charlie.
Brilliant.
Okay.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Me encantaría saber cuál ha sido tu experiencia o qué preguntas tienes. Por favor, déjanos un comentario aquí abajo. Y si te gustó este video, por favor compártelo con tus familiares y amigos. La buena vibra es contagiosa. Muchas gracias por ser parte de Choose Positive. Soy Ale Hinojosa y nos vemos pronto.